Ivanka Trump, the entrepreneur and executive vice president of the Trump Organization, has been described as the shining star of the Trump family ensemble, and her burgeoning profile is only set to grow as her father assumes the presidency. The 35-year-old mother of three, whom her father regularly calls his favorite, has been given unparalleled levels of authority in the family business. She has even launched her own namesake brand, Ivanka Trump, selling shoes, clothing and handbags. Speaking at the Republican National Convention this summer, she appealed to women and younger voters with policy proposals such as equal pay, rarely touted by her father on the campaign trail. American families need relief, she told the packed convention arena in Cleveland, Ohio. Policies that allow women with children to thrive should not be novelties, they should be the norm. Commentators say she was one of the most important people in Trump's campaign, with her warmth and reasoning appealing to voters left of her father's traditional supporters. Articulate, calm and focused, Ivanka is the very opposite of her father, Rachel Reeves in The Independent. While members of her family are making inflammatory statements and plagiarizing speeches, her record remains unblemished. So what else do we know about Ivanka Trump? Exclusive upbringing? Ivanka Trump was born in 1981 in New York, the only daughter from Donald Trump's first marriage to Czech athlete and model Ivanka Trump, née Zelníková. Ivanka spent her early years among the Manhattan elite, studying first at the Chaplin School, whose former alumni include Jackie Kennedy, and then moving to Choate Rosemary Hall in Connecticut, where JFK studied. Her ability to master many an exclusive social circle has given her an urbane self-assurance that her father never mastered, says Politico. Like father, unlike daughter. In the Trump family business, Donald has given Ivanka a level of authority none of his wives, or for that matter executives, have ever had, says the New York Times. She handles some of the Trump Organization's biggest deals and along with her two brothers has often preached fiscal conservatism in direct contrast to her father's bellicosity. While her father uses Twitter as a grenade launcher, she treats her well-tended social media feeds, which are notably politics-free, as marketing tools for the Trump Organization, notes the newspaper. Proxy wife. Throughout her father's campaign, Ivanka found herself being used more and more to get across Trump's political message. A profile in Vanity Fair recently described her as a proxy wife, saying this was in part due to the fact that Donald's current wife, Melania, is not a conventional campaign spouse. The Trump campaign appears more comfortable using the candidate's daughter to spread his message than his wife, the magazine said. Quartz suggested that Ivanka would serve as Donald's actual first lady. Conversion to Judaism. Ivanka was raised Presbyterian but converted to Judaism in 2009 to marry husband Jared Kushner. The couple have 3 children, Arabella Rose, 5, Joseph Frederick Kushner, 3 in October, and 5-month-old Theodore James. She told Vogue last year that the family are kosher and observe the Sabbath, turning off their phones to enjoy time together. We don't do anything except play with each other, hang out with one another, go on walks together, pure family, she said. Ivanka described herself as a very modern, but also a very traditional person, adding that her conversion was a great life decision. Ivanka rarely discusses her religion, calling it a personal thing. However, her father invoked it several times during his campaign to assure voters he was pro-Israel. In March, he told the Republican presidential debate in Miami, "I have tremendous love for Israel. I happen to have a son-in-law and a daughter that are Jewish. Okay, and 2 grandchildren that are Jewish." Grown tougher. Ivanka publicly addressed the lewd comments her father made about women in a 2005 Access Hollywood tape leaked to the press, describing them as clearly inappropriate and offensive. She was also glad he immediately apologized to their family and the people of America, she said. In an interview with Fast Company, Ivanka said it had been a year and a half of enormous scrutiny for her family and their businesses and actions. "I've probably grown a bit tougher in terms of my resilience toward what is thrown our way because, I've read some very negative stuff," she said. She is able to shrug off the things she reads about her father when she knows they are wrong. She added, "The greatest comfort I have is the fact that I know my father. Most of the people who write about him don't. I do." Abigail Clem, the head of brand at Ivanka Trump, tells the magazine, "I think that Ivanka has a really thick skin. And one would have, if you have grown up in the public eye the way that she has. No place in administration." Donald has flirted with the idea of bringing Ivanka to Capitol Hill to serve in his cabinet, noting that she is very popular and has done very well. But his daughter has made it clear she doesn't want a West Wing role. In the family's 60 Minutes interview with host Leslie Stahl for CBS, Ivanka said she was very passionate about championing women but not in a formal administrative capacity. She added that she also wanted to promote education and more opportunities for women. "I'm going to be a daughter. But I've said throughout the campaign that I am very passionate about certain issues. And that I want to fight for them," she said. "Wage equality, childcare. These are things that are very important for me." Ivanka told Stahl it was difficult to put into words the emotions she felt when her father was announced as the next president of the United States. "We had enormous pride, joy," she said. "It's incredibly exciting. And we're very grateful for the opportunity. And we take that opportunity very seriously." But she is considering moving to Washington, D.C. She may not be offered a cabinet position, but it is clear Ivanka will continue to wield considerable influence over her father throughout his presidency. Since the election, she has been at the heart of many of the property tycoons' meetings with world leaders, media personalities and potential cabinet picks. Ivanka was said to have been instrumental in the improbable meeting between her father and Al Gore to discuss climate change. Now, according to Emily Jane Fox and Vanity Fair, she and her husband are embracing the idea of moving to the nation's capital next year. "A source close to Ivanka told me that she is strongly considering a move to D.C. when her father takes office," Fox says. "The move makes sense," she continues. In a 60 Minutes interview days after her father won the election, Ivanka noted that she wanted to continue to advocate for issues that she spent years building a brand around and months on the campaign trail talking about, wage equality, in particular, and child care. Ivanka says, "These are issues that are important to me, really promoting opportunities for women. But not in a formal capacity." She's been speaking to world leaders. Ivanka was pictured sitting with her father at Trump Tower in New York as he had his first face-to-face meeting with Prime Minister Shinzo Abe of Japan. "It was," said Yoshinobu Yamamoto, a professor of international relations at the University of Niigata Prefecture, "a quite unusual situation." Argentine President Mauricio Macri says he also spoke to Ivanka during his first phone call with the president-elect. Macri, who had a business relationship with Trump for several years, apparently only wanted to say hello to the businessman's daughter, according to his spokesman. President-elect Trump's decision to bring his children into his inner circle has provoked concerns about nepotism, ethics and national security, The Guardian reports. It adds, "Trump can easily ignore calls to act otherwise, experts say, and critics will have few options even after he assumes the Oval Office." President Ivanka? While her stepmother Melania is expected to stay put in Trump Tower in New York, Ivanka and her family are apparently considering a move to Washington. Ivanka is more than a first daughter and more than a first lady. She is her father's most effective public defender and she humanizes him in a way Melania cannot, says CNN. She might not want a formal role in the White House, but it is clear Ivanka's opinion is valued by the president-elect and by those seeking to sway him. For example, former Vice President Al Gore, an outspoken advocate for tackling climate change, said he met her before Donald while seeking to find common ground with the new administration. CNN adds that there has never been a U.S. president's daughter who is also a serious political advisor and certainly not like this, where the lines of business interest, of politics, and of diplomacy are so thoroughly blurred between family and the West Wing. Her daughter can recite Chinese poetry. Trump's election campaign was littered with references to China, not all of them flattering. He told a rally in Indiana the communist country should not be allowed to continue to rape our country, while the first presidential debate saw him accuse the Chinese of using the US as a piggy bank. But that hasn't stopped Ivanka from posting a video of her daughter Arabella reciting a poem in Mandarin. The president-elect's 5-year-old granddaughter is pictured wearing a red Chinese-style ball gown, with lanterns and the Chinese character for happiness visible in the background. The clip was recorded in February, but Ivanka's Instagram post, in which she says Arabella wanted to have a pre-bedtime Chinese New Year party, has been widely shared in China since Trump's election win. Some have interpreted Arabella's command of the language as a hidden sign of her grandfather's affinity with China. 4 years ago, Ivanka told the South China Morning Post that her daughter was learning Mandarin and could name most of the zoo animals.